Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the network. I'm your host, Julian Johnson. I'm so glad to be able to be here with you tonight with my co host and friend, Barone Savori. Welcome again to the network. Man, I'm so excited to have Barone Savori here, media expert extraordinaire, and I'm so excited to be here every week with you on Wednesday night on the network. And welcome to the network tonight. I'm your host, Julian Johnson, and I have with me the one, the only Barone Savori. And every week we're here to find community, gain connections, and to experience compassion. Each week we'll feature a special guest, and tonight's special guest is none other than media expert Barone Savori. I have known you. Welcome to the network. I'm so excited that you're here, and I look forward to what you have to share with us tonight on how to grow our audience, how to be more effective. But man, this is going to be epic.
Man, I'm excited. I'm excited to be here with you tonight. I mean, Built to Thrive, we've known each other for such a long time, but now more than ever, we have a chance to connect and communicate with each other. And to all of your viewers that are out there, I'm just excited to share what it is that I've had to learn. You know, Julian, I've failed enough during this time that hopefully there's just a couple of things that I can share with somebody tonight that'll help them move further, faster, to do better, and to have a higher quality stream for whatever it is that they're doing, whether that's church or for themselves personally. I just want to help out. And thanks for having me be a part of your Built to Thrive and joining in with the network.
Man, we're so excited, man. You're there from the very beginning, and it's an inception of the network. And when the idea came, man, you are more than happy to be a part. Now, Barone, man, I know that you are on the West Coast, so I thank you so much for spending your time. It's 8 o'clock here, it's 3 o'clock there. 5 o'clock there. So thank you so much, first of all, for your investment in everybody here tonight, man. We've been blessed. We've had people who've been on who gave issues, concerns, and helpful hints about grants. We've had people come about writing. We got you this week, and man, this is so exciting. So, man, I'll be honest that you are the person that has gotten me started in media, and you made sure that, man, my stuff was right. So could you kind of share with us your media journey and what kind of things kind of got you into media from, like, I'm talking about going all the way back to Magic Johnson Converse shoes. You can go all the way back there. So, man, how did you get started, man?
Well, you know, it was digging into my dad's camera bag. You know, it seems like every dad had a camera back in the day. And so I would just kind of wander in, find it, grab it. And then I would just kind of take some pictures. And then, you know, we evolved into this time where I can remember going back to one of these early, before there was even a Costco. There was a place called Fedco out here. And you could take your film and you could put it in an little envelope, and then you'd have to come back like about a week later and see if all your pictures turned out. But then I got excited because there were these 1 hour film development places. And then the disposable cameras came along where you could buy those and you can begin to develop film. And I just really gained an interest in photography, learning how to shoot pictures and whatnot. But then it wasn't until I really got involved in audio, back right before the iPod dropped. I've always had an interest in it. When I was a kid, my dad would have crusades and I would learn how to do sound, learn how to work on the PA system and all of those types of things. So I always had an interest there. Right before the iPod dropped, I jumped in with the mini disc player. Some of you all out there might remember mini disc, but it was like the big thing before the iPod dropped, and MP3s. I remember jumping in early with that and learning a bit about what that was all about. But then I got my first job as a pastor, and I got a camcorder, and I had a neighbor of mine. As a matter of fact, it was my cousin Vivi, who had a Mac computer, and she had this early program called iMovie. And I did my very, very first movie rendering there on her computer, importing files. And ever since that point, I have had a keen interest in media, in video, in photography, and really how those mediums alone can tell the stories of each and every day we live and the stories of what has happened in our lives. And so I've been excited from that point and continue to press on. So as I got into times where I pastored, I began to make different videos and to connect with different announcements and stuff, but it just wasn't really practical. The tools were expensive. It was kind of complicated and whatnot, but I never stopped until I continued to gain resources, continued to gain experience, always bought cameras, digital cameras,
Yeah.
other things like that, got involved
Yeah.
in photography. And if we fast forward to the most recent experience, I was the media pastor there at the Mount Rubidoux Church, and that was a tremendous experience because I got exposed to even more of what it takes to be able to have a high quality media product. I've also had an opportunity with our denomination to be on a number of programs, whether that's the Hope Channel years and years ago, way back in the day, 3ABN, having some exposure there. But it was really recently through my experience at the Mount Rubidoux Church, being exposed to working with media there, working with their media professionals there, really opened my eyes to a lot of things that I've been able to implement time. Nobody saw the pandemic coming. Nobody saw the shutdown coming. But I'm so glad that throughout the last 20 years of my life, I've had a chance to acquire tools, learn more about it, get involved and get into it so that when it came to the point where things were shut down, I wasn't freaking out like some people were. I kind of had a basic understanding of what needed to be done, how to do it. But now I have moved from that level to really having to be accelerated, where you're having to learn about logo stingers, where you're learning about how to present things, PNG files, transparencies, learning to use After Effects, Adobe Premiere Pro, moving beyond just iMovie, and then moving into the place where I had to stream my own church service. You know, Julian, when I took over the church that I'm here right now, as a matter of fact, I'm here at my church building at this moment. We weren't even streaming live. We were recording our messages each and every week, and then we were posting them to YouTube only. But when the pandemic hit, we had to figure out as a church very quickly how we were going to live stream. And by the way, I had only been pastor at this church for 3 weeks when this whole thing hit. So now everything is accelerated. Throughout time, I'm so glad that I already had a high quality camera. I already had a microphone. I already had some lighting. I already had some know-how on how to get it done. And so my journey has really accelerated even faster. Many of us went from a rudimentary knowledge of having to stream and having to go live to now having a fairly solid understanding, but there's still so much more to learn. Even I'm learning a lot more. So that's kind of been my journey from there in the early 1990s all the way now to this point of media and streaming and learning and growing in this field.
Man, so it sounds like you've had so much experience, so much opportunity, but also ways to kind of practice to not just rest on your laurels and say, man, oh man, we've done this before, but man, you've always had an emphasis not only on being good, but being excellent. And I think, man, a lot of the time, a lot of us really want to just make kind of cut corners to see if it's going to work right or see if it's going to do right. But I'm telling you, the thing that I've always appreciated about you, not just the fact that you always enjoy some quality stuff, but the thing is you want excellence. You're not going to settle for second best. And I would suggest to you, man, could you kind of just share with us, you know, how do you move from just being caught between doing the best that you can as opposed to doing excellent stuff and making the sacrifice in order to dig in and get more out of life and more out of your own experience? Man, I've found lately that there are a lot of people who are afraid to kind of move on to the next level because they're afraid that they don't have the cash, they don't have the time, they don't have any of this stuff. So could you kind of just talk to us, how did you get over that barrier to get you through to the place where you really wanted to be?
Yeah, well, I mean, it starts with a commitment, first of all. Like, you have to be committed to figuring it out. I'll never forget. I started off at a basic level, but when I learned, and when I say basic level as it relates specifically to media, and there's nothing wrong with it, there's nothing bad. Not talking about it in a bad way at all. I started off with iMovie, and iMovie gets my foot in the door. It helps me out. It gets me there. It gets you started. It gets you producing something, and so all of those things are good. It's not bad at all. But I was like, how can I raise my level, and what is that going to take? Well, let me tell you, Julian, one of the greatest things that we have access to is this incredible channel called YouTube. And you can learn so much so fast on YouTube. It's not even funny. But here's the thing. You have to be willing to make some mistakes and really try. Now, and that's what I was relentless about. I said, what if I'm going to thrive, I'm going to have to figure out how this works. And so that meant that there were some things, and thankfully sports has been shut down. A lot of things have been shut down. I'm going to be in here locked in my office trying to figure out what's the best way to do this. How can I use these tools the best? I had invested about 1.5 years earlier in a subscription to Adobe. And for those of you all that are familiar with Adobe, most of us know about the PDF platform, the Adobe PDF. Well, Adobe offers so much more than that. But the first time I opened up Adobe Premiere Pro, my eyes were spinning. Like I was like, what in the world is this? How can I learn how to use this to my highest ability? And it was just each and every day getting in there, learning and striving, trying to do my very, very best by watching tutorial videos, shooting video myself, looking at and finding out what the best in the industry are doing and using that are on my level. Now, I want to be clear. They're the Oakwood University churches. They're the Loma Linda University churches. They're the big churches that have these broadcast quality cameras, and they're running multi-camera shoots and all these different types of things. That's not where the average person is. And so where I was as an average small church, medium-sized church pastor, I needed to figure out and use these tools. And it was a relentless pursuit to say, I want to figure it out. I wanted to. And I desired to, and I put the time in to say, this is what's going to make it quality. This is how it's done. This is what it's going to take. So really the short answer to all of that is time and a relentless desire to get better.
And I think, bro, man, you hit it right on the nail on the head, that there's some people who really just kind of don't want to put in the time and the effort to make it happen. There's some people who really want a cookie cutter stream. They want just themselves preaching, but they don't think about the audience or the sound or the aesthetics behind the stage and everything like that. And I would suggest to you, man, that we have a lot to learn. So, man, could you kind of walk us through? We're gonna go dive right in the 101, getting started. When we get started, what do we need to get started? I've got a message, man. I feel like I got a message from God. I feel like I'm inspired to do this work, whether it's social work, whether it's caring, whether it's serving, whether it's teaching, whether it's preaching, man. Get me started. What do I need? What's the basics of what I need to do to get started?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. And I want to just kind of throw this out here. I just started, launched out. I've been doing a lot of just kind of consulting with different pastors across the nation about this, whether that's video, whether that's audio. So if you want to take a moment, hit up streamingpastor.com. That's kind of the platform where I'm starting to do some coaching. There's some things that are going to be released really, really, really soon within the next day or so. Some checklists of things that you can do to get started. That's streamingpastor.com. But because you're logged in to Built to Thrive, I'm going to give you some of those things right now so that you can get started. The very first thing to realize is this: it's not as hard as you think. It's pretty much you have what it is that you need to have in your hand right now. You can go live at this moment with your phone. You can do it. You can do it. Now, is it going to be the highest quality? Are you going to have control over a lot of different things? No, that's not necessarily going to happen, but you can go live right now. Now, for the person that is wanting to stream a more higher quality broadcast, whether you're as a social worker, as you were stating, or pastor, or whatever the case is, there are three things that you're going to really need to consider, really need to have a grasp of. The number one thing is going to be what captures your video. Your video camera is going to be important. A lot of people are using mirrorless cameras or DSLRs. You're going to need something that's quality. You can use your phone, but a lot of people are moving toward having a device that's solely dedicated to video alone. So that would be the first thing. The second thing is if they see you, but go ahead.
Before you go to the second thing, man, could you talk about mirrorless cameras versus DSLR cameras and the advantages or disadvantages of both?
Yeah, there's a lot of different things, and without getting too technical about all of these different things, because there's some like camera geeks out there that are probably watching and are logged in. Really, cameras have a lot to do with mirrors and these parts. Mirrorless cameras is really where digital photography and videography are kind of going. If you're looking to consider some cameras, depending on what your budget is, you can go in a lot of different directions. My suggestion would be to go with a mirrorless camera. It just cranks out the quality that you really want to have. As a matter of fact, most of them, just about every camera today is going to shoot what is called in 1080 or high definition. 1080 as a high definition is what most of us are watching on YouTube. It's what you watch on your phone. It's what you get on your computer for the most part. But if you want to future-proof yourself, you're going to want to also be able to capture in 4K. And so you want to make sure that your camera, the one that you're looking at, can capture in 4K. Not that you're necessarily going to push that out, or even the people that are watching it are going to be able to watch it in 4K. But 4K gives you some other advantages. Can I just give you a couple of advantages that it gives you? Here are a couple of advantages is that it's the actual image itself that you're capturing is twice as large as your 1080 picture. In other words, when you're capturing in 4K, if you want to give that energetic feel and you want to crop in, you're going to have a lot more information to be able to crop in and to have a higher quality picture. Have you ever pulled out your phone and then zoomed in really close, but then it starts getting pixelated out a little bit? And all of a sudden you realize, like, it just doesn't look good anymore. I want it to still look good. Well, 4K allows you to be able to have it, to zoom in tight and still maintain a high quality picture. And so that's one of the advantages of having a camera that can capture in 4K. Now, what's the trade-off for filming in 4K? Well, not only is your picture going to be larger, but your file sizes are going to be so much larger. It's going to be huger.
Okay.
If I film in 1080p in high definition, which is great quality picture, at the end of, say I go 20 minutes, it might crank out a file that's about 5 gigs. But if I shoot that same 20 minutes in 4K, that same amount of time is going to crank out a file that's probably 15 to 20 gigs large. So you're talking about a massive file. Now, here's something to think about. If you're also a person that's filming this and you're sending your file to your media director, or you're having to download it in some way or upload it, you're going to have to build in time if you have just a huge file size. If you're trying to upload 10 or 15 gigs of information to YouTube on a standard, high speed line in your house, it might take an hour. It might take 2 hours or 3 hours, depending on the time that you're doing it. Whereas a high definition 1080 file that's much smaller, you're going to get it uploaded faster, and the quality is still going to be pretty good. So your capture device is going to be really important.
All right. So number one, the video is important. Right. So we got the mirrorless camera. You broke that thing down, man. You made it. Listen, Doc, I'm about to come with a mirrorless camera next week. Do you hear me? I'm about to get on my mirrorless camera. All right. But the thing is, man, we know that we need to have a camera. But what's the second thing that you would put as a second top priority of the 3 top priorities for being able to be successful?
So if I have camera at number 1, 1B right underneath that is going to be lighting. Now, this is what gets me. It gets me. Have you ever been watching someone live streaming and all you see is a silhouette. I mean, they're dark. You're like, what's going on? I can't see them. Well, lighting is going to be really important. So I would suggest not only do you get your camera that's going to capture what it is that you're doing, but you also are going to have some good lighting. You get a ring light. There's some that are just flat lights, LED lights. You can find tons and tons of options on Amazon and other places like Best Buy or B&H Photo or other places that are around that will sell you a really good LED light. So please, I beg of you, get another light so that people can see you. All right. So we got one, the camera. Lighting is 1A right underneath that. The second thing that's going to be really critical is your audio. If people see you, but they can't hear you, it's no good at all. As a matter of fact, you would almost rather hear people than see them. I was reading a fact about YouTube today. The reality is this: a lot of people are playing YouTube videos, but they're not even watching them. They're listening to them. And so if you're going to stream, whether that's your church service or you have a vlog that you're doing, just realize this: not everybody is going to spend 20 minutes looking at you, but they will spend 20 minutes while they're cleaning the kitchen or they're helping out somebody else or they're just riding in their car listening to what you're saying. So you're going to need to invest in a good microphone. There's so many that are out there. I personally use a Blue microphone. That's where I started, a Blue Yeti. And it's a really good microphone. It's one that's quality. As a matter of fact, it has some different modes on there. And you say, now, Barone, okay, now we're getting into some real money here. Well, guess what? You get what it is that you pay for. If you're a real cheapskate, or I shouldn't say cheapskate, but you're saying, hey, look, I really can't afford to get anything else. Your AirPods or your pods, your white pods that you might have with your iPhone or or your earphones that have a microphone in it. If you've spent a decent amount of money on those, it probably has a decent microphone as well. You can probably use that also, but it just doesn't look as good as you would like for it to look. So having a good quality microphone, a USB microphone, will be great. It'll plug directly into your computer. Yeti Blue makes a lot of different microphones that are really great quality mics so that you can be heard really well and have high quality audio. Now, if you want to take a step up and go a little bit higher, Rode is another company that makes a lot of really great microphones. Shure is another company. The mic that I'm using right now is a Shure SM7B. Now, that's a lot more expensive than the average microphone, but as they say, you get what it is that you pay for. And so it's going to be a really great microphone. There's some other things that you're going to need to have in order for a mic like the Shure SM7B to work with your live streams, but that's for another time. You can look into those. So the second thing, Julian, people are going to you got to make sure that people can hear you. They got to see you and they got to hear you.
Yes. They got to see you, they got to hear you, and then they have to experience you. Norma Hunt, she kind of put it all together for us: cameras, lighting, and then audio. We're so excited. I'm so excited tonight to be on here with Barone Savory. He's a media expert extraordinaire, and he's sharing with us some tips, tricks, and behind the scenes information that you will get in order to get your media on target. So one of the things that earlier that I spoke of was my experience with Barone and the power of getting information from somebody who knows what they're talking about. So I was doing my thing, trying to stream and doing my Barone said, man, listen, Doc, you got to get a ring light. Listen, I got right on Amazon that night and I ordered myself a ring light. And I'll tell you that when you actually have the right stuff, it doesn't just make you look good, but it makes you feel like you have the right thing. You told me get a mic. I got the mic. You get the ring light. You got the setup. And I'm saying all of us, really, we can start with what we have. We really don't have to have everything. It doesn't have to be like anybody else. Because you're a part of the network, Barone is giving us inside information. So if you'd like to connect with Barone, he's at thestreamingpastor.com. There's great information that's coming out. I want to share with you just a message, and we're going to be excited about what's happening in the next few weeks. But I want to share with you what's going on. and to be able to share with you the beauty of the fact that we can all work together. The network is a place for us to find community, a place for us to gain connections, a place for us to experience some compassion. And there's a lot of people out there tonight who are looking for some compassion, looking for somebody to encourage them. And I want you to know that after these messages, we're going to talk about how you can experience true compassion, how you can share and give to Barone's organization that helps to equip ladies in ministry all over the world, and a little bit more about why it's important for us to document our journeys in media. We'll be right back after these messages. We'll remind you that every single Saturday morning, we have something called Word Power. Word Power is for executives, leaders, and those who just need some encouragement. Every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. on this Built to Thrive channel on YouTube or on Facebook Live. Please feel free to connect with us at Built to Thrive on Instagram, on Twitter, Facebook, and also our Built to Thrive webpage. If you like some encouragement and inspiration, pick me up during the week, please go to Finding Your Purpose. That's on YouTube. And it's something that is waiting for you. The textbook is 5 Minutes on Purpose, a book that I wrote that will help and assist you in your daily journey. We're back with Barone Savori, media expert, and he's giving us some great tips, tricks, and the inside track on what's coming up hot and fresh in media. First, he told us that media video is important. He talked about the mirrorless versus the DSLR cameras for video. If you got questions for Barone, this is the time to ask somebody. His rate is like $500 per hour just to be able to connect with people. People all over the country, millionaires and billionaires, are literally asking for his help and support. Some of the leading YouTube people are asking for his consultation on how to make their stuff right. And we've got him here on the network tonight. So wherever you're watching from, make sure you got your audio right. Got my phone. And also, Barone, I need you to give us the website, a really insider website that helps people to find some stuff, and the website that I got on this. So can we just start off? Maybe, Barone, could you tell us why it's important for us to document on media, on broadcasting now, podcasts, we got vlogs, we got YouTube, obviously. We're on YouTube and Facebook and broadcasting all over media platforms. Why is it important for people's story to be heard?
Yeah, because, now more than ever, people gravitate towards stories, period. And when you're able to go out and share your story and connect with people, it changes them. You find support. You find people that are really like you. People that can connect with you. Documenting our stories now more than ever, it's easier now than it has ever been in Earth's history. Not to mention that here in California, the governor just a couple of days ago shut the state back down for the most part. All across the nation, it's happening again. And this virtual way of communicating and connecting with people, not only is it for this season, but Julian, I just really believe that a lot of this is going to stay. It's not going anywhere. So it's important that we document, that we share our stories so that we can inspire not only this generation, but you know what? We can inspire generations to come. And so as we share our stories, we encourage ourselves, we encourage others. We're able to share our causes. We're able to connect with people whom we have never met before. They're people who have never seen me before, never met with me. But guess what? Because I'm on the network, because I'm connected with you, I have a chance to share my story. I'm able to connect with other people that are beyond myself. And it's all because of the blessing of media, YouTube, Facebook, other platforms, Twitter as well, Instagram, you name it. We have these chances to share stories. As a matter of fact, a lot of things in society around the world before COVID even hit, people in countries that were oppressed, they were able to share their stories around the world. And for the first time, the world was able to see some of the challenges that these people were under, some of the conditions they were living in, because they were able to share their story beyond themselves, whether that was through Facebook or through a Twitter video, through Instagram and other ways, other mediums like that, on YouTube as well. They were able to tell these stories about what was going on in their world. So these are immensely important, not only as we look at society as a whole, but it also moves the needle. Can you imagine if someone didn't have a video camera or a phone when George Floyd's life was being taken, or
Man.
had a video camera when Rodney King was pulled over? All of these
Yeah.
different things happen because someone was able to capture a story and then share a story. And now
Yeah.
look at how it's been able to change society. Our stories
Yeah.
are important.
And I think, man, a lot of the times that people are afraid to kind of be exposed or think it's not right, just like the lady in Central Park in New York, you can kind of change the narrative by actually telling the truth of what happened
Right.
in a story. And I think having studio lighting, having all this stuff, it helps us not only to be heard, but it helps us to be able to get our message across, because it's really about caring about other people. I mean, there's a lot of
That's
people
right.
right now who I really sincerely believe are going to miss out during this season. And I'm telling you, bro, I believe with all my heart that this season of the coronavirus is actually an opportunity for people to get the gear that they need, to be
Yeah.
able to learn the skills that they need, and to be able to transform their own lives and hearts. We're going to be talking about that next week, how to transform your life with Marvin Clark. We're going to be talking about that next week. I'm telling you that there's secrets to transforming your life. Last night I was on with him on his show, Turn Up Tuesday. And I'm telling you, Barone, if we don't use all the resources at our disposal, we can't be mad at somebody else when that they're actually thriving in place when we are
Right.
just standing there just waiting for stuff to happen. So,
That's right.
bro, what kind of drives you to be able to be excellent in media? I mean, you're as long as I've known you, you've always been a techie, but man, you've taken it to the next level in the past year or so by just going all the way full blast. I want you to talk to somebody tonight who might be wanting to do something, who might be desiring to do something, but just maybe fearful of the first steps. So could you kind of talk to us tonight, the fact that this is the real time for you? This is your time to keep going forward. But tell us, man, there's some people who are afraid to move. And Lola Moore, you're going to be on this show very soon because I need you to tell your story too. But Barone, tonight, please tell somebody that they can do it.
Yeah. So just like that person that's out there that's saying, like, who am I to go out and to do this? Who am I to share my story? Who am I why would somebody even listen to me? These are all stories that we tell ourselves that keep us and hold us in a box so that we can't thrive, so that we can't do what it is that we desire to do. Guess what? The only thing that really matters is what you really believe within yourself. And you can do it. You just have to do it. You just have to put those things behind you and press forward and say, I'm going to try. Guess what? You fail at everything you don't try. And so I would suggest to that.
You gotta stay right there. You gotta stay right there. Listen, you hit on something here tonight. You gotta go back to that. You gotta go back to that.
You fail at everything you do not try. Because guess what? You're staying in the safe zone. At the end of the day, if I was on the basketball court, I would put it this way: you miss every shot you don't take.
Yes.
You miss every opportunity that you don't seize. If you're not willing to throw your hat in the ring and you do not try, guess what?
Yes.
You can't thrive. You can't grow. You have to be willing to throw yourself out there. I did it. One of the first things that I did was I did a very short series that I'm going to be beginning once again called Win the Day. And I was afraid as I was filming the first one. I was like, oh my goodness, what are people going to think? What are people going to say? And guess what? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. What matters most is that you are sharing your truth and your story from your perspective. And you know what? what I learned was this: I wasn't alone. I wasn't the only person. And it was actually inspiring other people. If you don't go out and do it, you fail at everything you don't try. And so, for that person that's out there, I want to say to you specifically, you're watching this right now, go out, do it, give it a try. As you do it and as you go along the way, it might not be perfect the first time, but keep going at it. You will get better at time, and you can even thrive at it if you stick to it. Rome wasn't built in a day. You don't have 1 million followers in a day. It starts with your very first video, your very first start, your very first story, your very first upload, your very first channel. That's where it all begins. So I want to encourage someone, push beyond your limits, and no time better than now, while we're all quarantined and locked in, where you have a chance to learn and acquire some new skills and be able to share it with the world. The world will be better because they have heard your story, and you will be proud of it because it's your truth.
Woo, Doc, you hit on something like that. The world will be better because people heard your story. Wow. Yeah. And I'm telling you, Ron, I think the thing is, most of us are kind of fearful of being seen or viewed in a certain light. I'm telling you, man, I was sharing the other day that I've had this idea about this network. I told you, man, I woke up on a Sunday morning about 1.5 years ago. I called you about it and I said, man, I got this idea for this thing called Built to Thrive. It's had different iterations, but it ended up being Built to Thrive. And man, I was too afraid to go on it. But man, like you're saying, the world will be better because somebody else actually tried.
Yeah. You know what? Everybody has influence. And this is something that it took me a little while to wrap my mind around. All of us, no matter who you are, you have influence over someone in your life. Woo. Even if you're a parent, you feel like you don't have anything. Guess what? You got influence over your kids, you know? You have influence over someone. And at the end of the day, that influence that you have can be a blessing to somebody else. It can help somebody else. It can change somebody's day and change somebody's life. And so if you're going to thrive, if you're going to do it, I just want to say, Julie, I'm so proud of you. And by the way, you look great. You sound great. Man, I just love what it is that you're doing. I love how you're connecting with people. I love the stories and the people. I mean, you're talking about Marvin Clark, Lola Johnston that's coming on, other people that have been a part of this. I'm just grateful to be a part of this network and what it is that you're doing. But you know what? It started with you launching out there, doing the first one, and you keep doing it, and it gets better and better each and every time.
All right, bro, man, we about to dive into deep water. Doc, we about to dive in some deep water here. Now, man, I think that a lot of us, not only like you were saying, we have causes that we can actually help people with. We have things to kind of drive people to go on. And the people who I want to encourage tonight, them sisters ain't on here tonight, Doc. But we're going to go here and talk about how we can encourage other ladies to know that they are valued, they are valuable, and they can be victorious. That sounded like 3 V's to me. But the thing is, we can't concentrate only on the surface stuff. So, man, could you tell me a little bit about your organization called The Non-Compliant? Because you're using your media platform to tell the story, and you're also trying to change a narrative, like you were sharing before, with how the story of ladies in ministry have been particularly diminished, demeaned, and also looked down upon. Oh, that's 3 D's. Come on, talk to me somebody tonight. But the real deal is, man, you got an organization. So could you talk to us a little bit about that organization?
Yeah. So, many that are a part of the Adventist context, they know that a couple of years ago, as a matter of fact, close to 5 years ago, there was a vote that was taken that said that, you know what, women in ministry cannot be ordained. And this is significant because ordination means that you can rise to the highest level of leadership and administration within our church. And what our church was saying was that any conference, any union that would vote or choose to ordain women was going to be deemed a non-compliant union. Well, here's the thing. As the father of 2 girls whom God
Yeah.
could call to ministry.
Yeah.
And me being a pastor in this church, there was
Yeah.
no way on earth that if God called one of my daughters to ministry, that they looked
Wow.
to me and they say, Dad, you didn't do anything to keep the door open so that I could rise to the highest level and serve in this church. What did
Mm.
you do? I couldn't rest. I couldn't sleep that night. I just couldn't let things remain the way that they were. Now, I'm blessed. I serve in Southeastern California. Our president, Dr. Sandra Roberts, is the only woman that is a president in this denomination, and she's doing a phenomenal job. I'm so grateful to be a part of this conference and to support her. And she has the support of our union president, Dr. Ricardo Graham, as well. But here's the thing: the non-compliant came about because I said, what is it that I can do to not only bring awareness and attention to what's happening, but also pour back into women who God has called into ministry? So I started making t-shirts, stickers, getting out there and sharing with the world, hey, I'm non-compliant. The
Yeah.
noncompliant.com is .org is a place where you can go, you can get a shirt, you can help support it. But it was not just the shirt alone, but it was that the fact that a part of every shirt that is sold is going to go into a scholarship fund that will be given to a woman that is studying full-time ministry. And I'm really excited about that because women need to know that they are not alone, that they're not by themselves, that in this church, there is a place for them, that there are places that they can reach as women who are called and serving in this church that a man will never reach. We need women who have been called to ministry to be serving in this church. And I believe that God is going to bless us and bless them richly. But I know that in the process, the educational standards that we have in our church, which are great, that education comes at a cost. And so I want to be able to go through the support and through the sales of the shirt to be able to create a scholarship fund to send to a woman so that she can have a lighter financial burden as she studies ministry. And so that's what it's all about. It was birthed out of this desire to be able to do what it is that I can to support women in ministry, to pay it forward, to push them forward, and to let them know they are not by themselves, that I stand behind them. And guess what? A lot of people, thousands upon thousands of people, especially in this division, stand behind women who are serving, preaching, leading, and doing great things. And then I'll say this last thing. There, in some cases, there are women that can lead and are more competent as leaders than some men are.
Yeah.
Who are we to hold them back
Yeah.
from serving at their highest potential, from them
Yeah.
thriving in what God has called them to be? So non-compliant is all about saying, you know what? If compliance means that women cannot be ordained and women cannot serve in the highest levels of this church, then call me non-compliant. Because at the end of the day, I believe that we need women, that women are more than capable, that God calls them, and that they can serve at the highest level of this church well, and we will all be better for it.
And I agree with you, bro. I think there's been a lot of rhetoric that that people really don't want to hear and they're afraid to talk about. There's some sisters on here that you need to be watching this, and you need, as a woman, you need to share this with all the ladies tonight. I need all the sisters who are watching this tonight to realize there's at least two brothers out here who are supporting you, who are cheering you on, and letting you know that you are valuable. You should be treated as equal in God's church, in any church, and you are capable of being a leader, and we support you with everything we have. Now, I want you to know that there's some people who are fearful of women in ministry, and there's some people who feel like their voices are diminished. I think that one component that may be missing is the media component. Where are we hearing the sisters' voices, hearing them champion their cause in their own media format? Now, I'm going to tell you, that's probably going to get people angry, but they need to watch this whole program. Before you get upset, go through and watch this whole thing. But sisters, we need your voices because we need to encourage you, but we got to hear your story. And I'm telling you that a lot of people want they want people to be concerned about their needs, but they don't understand the whole story. And I believe that the power of story is so important. And I think that the power of story balanced and mixed with the power of responsibility. We can't just be talking stories. We can't just be talking ethereal stuff. We talking knowledge tonight. And I want to thank you so much for being on the show tonight. We here with Barone Savori. Barone Savori is here with us. And I'm so excited to be able to have him talking tonight about media, about ministry, and about your message and how to get your message across, how to get your business sharper, how to make you look better on camera. And I'm telling you, he is the right man for the job. I know people personally who make millions of dollars who consult with Barone in order to get their stuff right. And I'm telling you, when you do your stuff right, people will come and they will be excited and they'll be happy to connect with you. Now, Barone, man, we talked about the fact that some people are fearful. Some people don't know what the equipment is going to look like. But man, I want you to take us to the future. And what does the future look like from a media perspective? You talked about YouTube, man. I didn't even know that YouTube, people more audio than watching, than visual lately on YouTube. But are there other things that you would say that kind of tie in with what you've already been speaking about, how to make sure the message is right, getting the narrative together?
Yeah. So, when it comes down to, there are a couple of things that I think are important depending on what it is that you're doing. When we talk about the future and where things are headed, in the beginning, early March, we thought that Corona would be around for like 2-3 weeks, and then done, and everything would go back to normal. Well, guess what? I don't think that's going to be happening for the rest of 2020. As a matter of fact, we're just kind of looking forward to 2021, what that has in store. But here's what you can't miss, and here's what you can't let go of. And I'll tell you part of my personal experience.
All right.
Prayer meeting attendance has actually gone up during this time because of virtual means than in person. People are more willing to come in and be a part of board meetings because now time and travel has been reduced. Now we can consult and we can connect with people across the nation easier than ever before. I believe the future looks like this. I think that people are going to get to the place where, of course, we're always going to enjoy those live experiences, but just like Netflix, DVRs and TiVo have caused people to do what's called time shifting, I think people are going to be doing the same thing when it comes to church. I don't think that when things open back up, Julian, that you can just go back into your church, expect everybody to come running back into the pews like they once did. People are enjoying the fact that they can enjoy a worship experience at 2:00 in the afternoon or 4:00 in the afternoon. Or they can watch it whenever it is that they desire, and then they can share that experience with other people. I believe that people are looking for that engagement. I think that Zoom meetings is something that's going to remain with us. And I know that Google Meet has come out with something. There's Cisco, WebEx, and other platforms that people use to be able to have these crowd connections. I don't think these things are going away, and perhaps they shouldn't. Perhaps we in the future need to find creative and exciting ways to share the gospel through a virtual means. I see a place where we started off with Net 2000 and Net 2004 and other things of this nature, Breath of Life, our TV broadcasting program. I think all of these things are going to expand. I think they're going to grow, and we need them to continue to grow because now not only can we reach the few hundred people that might be a part of our church, but guess what? When I go on Facebook, when I go on YouTube, I literally have access to billions of people. And this is an opportunity that can't be missed. Now, I want to throw this in as kind of a last thing for someone that's kind of thinking about streaming and whatnot. Streamingpastor.com is a website that's been put together where you can go in. I have a 5-day challenge for those of you all that want to learn more about streaming, get some other tips and ideas on how to do it. Should I use Zoom for my church service, or should I use YouTube for my church service? Should I use Vimeo? Should I use some other platform? What about StreamYard, which we're on right now? What is StreamYard good for? What are these different platforms? Should I use Ecamm? Ecamm is another resource. Should I record my service, or should I go live with all of it? These are all topics that I want to cover and empower you, because look, I've made a lot of mistakes, but I've also figured out a lot of things as well. And I'm excited to be able to share it with your audience, Julian, so that they can have a better stream and they can not only be current and relevant, but they can also know what is going to be happening in the future as well.
Man, Barone, man, you've given us a lot of great stuff to think about, a lot of good facts, a lot of good information. If you got a question, real quick, we're going to take any questions for Barone, but we also want to talk to you, Barone, about, man, the real deal of what you do every day, man. You pastor an awesome church, the Valley Fellowship Church, and they've been blessed. You have something I spoke for you about maybe a month ago now, I guess.
Yeah.
And man, you have something at your church that really is cool. You have an opportunity for people to connect. And I think one of the things now is that people are kind of realizing that they do need to connect, and connecting virtually does give the same feeling as if you're actually together. You can't touch, you can't hug, you can't even elbow each other. But the reality is, man, you have this thing called the virtual lobby. Yeah. And I want you to talk tonight to somebody who's in business, who might be struggling, who might wonder, man, if this media is for them. Should they try it, man? They might feel overwhelmed. They got lead pages. You got LinkedIn. You got YouTube. You got where do you get started? I mean, we talked about the fact that you have ring lights, you got cameras, but man, where do you get started with all this stuff? You got a message. You want to get it across, but man, what do you do in order to get started?
Yeah, so I think that the first thing is that you got to press record. You got to press record on the camera to kind of get going, and then kind of start getting it together. You know, a lot of people aren't really 100% comfortable behind the camera. We're all learning how to preach behind the camera. We're all learning how to share our stories from behind the camera. It's not an easy thing to do, but as you continue to practice at it, you do get better. As you continue to engage with people, you do get better. It just takes practice. It takes throwing your hat in the ring, taking a risk, pushing yourself to levels that you've never gone to before, and going ahead and doing it. So that's one of the things. Now for me as a pastor, one of the things that I really want to raise up as the gold standard when it comes to meetings and gathering with people and connecting with people, that if it is possible to pre-record your services. I can't express this enough. And pre-recording, what it allows you to be able to do, Julian, is it allows you to be able to have some predictable things that are going to happen. You don't have to worry about audio. You don't have to worry about bad internet. You don't have to worry about all of these different variables that can happen, that can interrupt a live stream that is happening. And so really one of the things that I want to share and impress upon your viewers, especially if you're in the area of business or doing things, to take as many moving parts out of the equation as possible and be able to put in things that you know are going to work and work well for you. And so whether it's going live on LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook or different things of that nature, if it is possible, try to pre-record as many things as you can. Make sure that your audio is right, that your visual looks right, that it looks good. And there are a ton of platforms that I'm excited to be able to share with your listeners when they come in and they join in with streamingpastor.com, that we can share about a lot of these different things that can help make and maximize the stream that they have each and every weekend that they're going live. Now, as far as the virtual lobby is concerned, when I have my service, we go through a lot of it. Most of it is pre-recorded. Sometimes we do a live element, but we do a pre-recorded thing. But I realize the value of connection and talking to people, and that after the service, people really sometimes have a burden on their heart. They've heard something and they want to respond to it. They want to talk about it. They want to connect with other people. They have questions they want to ask you about. And so we opened up the virtual lobby so that members could come in, or guests or visitors can come in. They can talk about the church. They can talk about the service. We can connect with one another. And Julian, let me tell you, some of the best ideas for my church have come because of the virtual lobby, where we have a chance to connect and talk with one another, share ideas, pray with one another, encourage one another. And so those are just a couple of nuggets that I have to share with your viewing audience about what they need to do and how they can do it. Did you want me to share a couple of platforms that might be helpful for them?
Yeah, man, that'd be great, man. If you share the platforms and give us a final word, and then we're gonna thank you again for being with us. Go ahead, please feel free to go ahead.
Okay, all right. So if you're a pastor, or you're leading a group, or you're a business leader and you're wanting to go live, if you have guests, live guests, kind of like what we're doing right now, and you're the only two people, maybe a third person is going to be a part of it, StreamYard is a great way to go. It's a good platform. You're able to do and create lower thirds. You're able to go in and out in terms of your video. You've seen what Julian has been able to do during this broadcast alone, where you're able to focus in on your subject. So StreamYard is something for those of you all that are looking to have the type of stream where you're interviewing people. That is a great resource for that. And then if you're like something that can even take it to another level, StreamYard is a great way to go. It has a few limitations, but if you're on a Mac computer, I highly recommend a program called Ecamm. Now, it's something that you're going to have to subscribe to and use, but let me tell you, it really can boost your broadcast to the next level. You're able to integrate live pre-recorded video seamlessly. You're able to really run it as a studio, as it were, going between live shots of yourself or whomever you might have, as well as going between pre-recorded videos that you have already loaded into the program itself. It takes some time to kind of get used to it and to learn. I'm happy to coach any of you all that are interested in using Ecamm. Once again, I want to emphasize that that is a Mac-based program. So if you don't have a Mac, I'm sorry. I'm hopeful that sometime soon Ecamm will release something for PC computers as well. So if you're looking to have something where you have a large majority of pre-recorded material and you're running a Mac computer, I couldn't recommend Ecamm high enough. And they don't pay me or sponsor me to be able to say that. I just use the product each and every week. And then also, if you're looking to just kind of take what it is that you have and stream it, there's another third-party resource that you could use. There's a resource called Restream.io. And this is something great if you're a church that has a Twitter account, a Facebook account, a YouTube account. Maybe you have a couple of different Facebooks that you're wanting to stream live to. You're wanting to push your pre-recorded or live programming to. Restream will seamlessly integrate into the program that you're using, the platform that you're using, like an Ecamm or even an OBS, which is an open source free resource that you can use to be able to push out to multiple platforms from one space. And it takes a little know-how. So that'll be another broadcast, another Built to Thrive that I can come in and we can do a deep dive into Ecamm. We can do a deep dive into Restream. That's something that I recently used where I integrated 10 different churches, 10, 15 different streams to be able to push out one program. It was one that created a lot of pressure, but it worked flawlessly if you plug it all in right. And it's something that I can't recommend enough. So those are just a couple of resources, or actually 3 resources that you can use right now to be able to push out whatever programming you have, depending on what it is that you're looking to do. The last thing on the same level kind of a StreamYard that you could use at a church or a meeting level, if you're looking to do something more simple, like just push live to Facebook or to YouTube, you could even use Zoom. Zoom has a live integration depending on the type of program, the type of subscription you have, where you can literally live stream directly from Zoom to YouTube or to Facebook, or even to a custom RMTP address if you would like to do it that way as well. That's a resource that you can use. But those are just a few nuggets. If people have questions, they can hit me up. They can send me a text or a message through Instagram, Sovo Cali Life. On Instagram, Barone Savory, or you can search me on Facebook, send me a message. I'll be happy to respond and connect with any of the viewers that would like to know more information.
Man, Barone, you've given us so much meat tonight. This wasn't no veggie meat. This wasn't no blue team, man. You couldn't get this at the Yard House, man. You had to come to the network tonight to give it all, man. I want to say thank you again for being a part. Thank you again for pouring out of yourself, and thank you again for investing your time in the network. I want to let everybody know that I have a free offer for you this week, and this free offer is entitled How to Thrive Through Loss. Coming up very soon, you'll be able to come back here on the network, and we're going to go 3 days, and we're going to have a grief conference for 3 days. At the end of that 3 days, we're going to have a memorial service for all the people who have died, and the streaming pastor is going to be an integral part of putting all that together. We're going to make sure that you have the information, the knowledge, the know-how, and we want to let you know that this, where we are every week, we want to find community, we want to gain some connections, and please hit up Barone Savory. And finally, we want to experience some compassion. He talked tonight about his dream and goal to be able to connect with others and also to encourage women in ministry, but also the streamingpastor.com. Please remember, every single week we're going to be on here on the network. Next week we have Marvin Clark, who's going to share with us some ideas to be able to go forward, ideas to be able to thrive, ideas to be able to move faster. And I want to let you know that we're going to have a good time. Every single Saturday morning we have Word Power at 10 a.m. on every Saturday morning and in the middle of the week. If you just want to pick me up or some encouragement, go to YouTube, the Built to Thrive page on YouTube, for Finding Your Purpose. And I want to let you know, you will not be disappointed. This is Built to Thrive. I'm so glad to see you, Barone, and I'm so thankful for your friendship and for your encouragement. Give us a final word before we go.
Man, look, I just want to say thank you so much for this opportunity to be able to share with your audience today. You are doing amazing work. You have been a blessing to me. You've encouraged me. You've pushed me. As a matter of fact, some of the things that I was sharing today about those that needed to go and push themselves beyond and just do it and hit record. This audience should know that you, Julian, have had an integral part in encouraging and pushing me to do just that. I can't thank you enough. Look, for those of you all that are watching here today, I want you to know this: you can do it. You can win the day. You can succeed. You can thrive. And during this time where people are going live and streaming, if it's something that you've dreamed about doing, you can do it. It's not hard, but you have to commit to making that change and making that decision. You can do it. Press the upload button. And guess what? You just might change someone's life. And if there is one thing that I can say, doing that alone, keeping that commitment to yourself, it will change you first. So God bless each and every one of you. Thanks for letting me be a part of this, Julian. And I look forward to connecting in the future. I can't wait to tune in next week to hear what Marvin has to say. Man, transformation. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait to hear what he has to say.
Well, listen, thank you so much for tuning in this week. Please remember that when you are built to thrive, there is nothing that is impossible for you. We'll see you again next Wednesday night. But until then, may God bless.